Oh, I can see the chat right there. Good morning, traders. Hope you can hear me. Somebody in YouTube, if you're on, give me a yes that this sound is good and you can see my screen. Okay, I can see one like already popping up. Thank you. So we're clear to go, right? Everybody can see my screen and we're good to go. So let's start. First, before we get into the whole chart thing, let me just inform you, this will be live for, just in case somebody's watching the recording of this, they're not live with us. We are going to be live for the entire week. This is the last trading week of the year. Next week, we'll probably have only 3 trading days, and those might not be really good trading. So I consider this the last trading week of the year before we all go on vacation. This is my gift to you. If you join us for the entire week, somewhere during these sessions, we'll be talking about promotions that we have for you guys. I don't want to start the day with that. Let's leave that for another session, maybe the London session or the next London session or the next New York session. So we'll be having twice daily. That is 7:45 a.m. London time. Join us. In 7:45 a.m. New York time, join us. Set your notification to get it when we go live. And subscribe so you will get anything we put out there. With that said, let's start. Please share the link, invite more traders. Let's make it fun. And let's start. I will take Q&A at the end of every session. So this is how the sessions are going to go. If you're watching this live, we're going to start by looking at some charts. These colors you see here, those are different stages of trade we are looking at. Either we're waiting for a setup, either we're actively having an entry order in the trade, or we might be in the trade already. Right? That will show the different stages of them. So we're going to do the analysis. I'll show you the trade setups we have. I will show you what we are planning to do with those trades, buy, sell, stops, and all of that. And then at the end of or in between, while we are waiting for things to happen, I'll take some questions. So if you have questions, please get your questions ready to post. When I say questions, then you start posting, right? Don't ask questions during the session. I wouldn't be able to answer you because I wouldn't be reading the chat, right? Now, please, you can send message to friends right now for them to join us. It's going to be fun. I'll take all the questions you have. I'll try my best to answer them. And we will give you some really interesting promotions of how you can join us for next year, all the way through. So let's start with the analysis daily. So I'm going to go through everything. I'm going to try to be as fast. I will stop at the ones that we have set up, son, and we'll go. Let me go to the higher time frame here. So if you're one of the people who follow me all the while, you remember we were showing this down move. We were telling you there's a consolidation going on. As of now, we're still in that consolidation. And if you understand anything about wave analysis, you would know that you can't confirm that this thing is going to drop. As a matter of fact, the way it's coming down really slow. So there's a higher probability of this thing staying in consolidation here longer. Not going back to the top, but staying. The lower it comes into this, the more the guarantee is that we are going to probably drop lower rather than go up. So let's come to the 4 hours. And the 4 hours we were trading this all the time. And you can see the way we looked at it, which direction we think it's ever going to go. And as it stands right now, we broke that low. So the chances for upside is very, very high. We don't have divergence. What that means that even if this goes up, unless it's an impulse that breaks out of this structure. By the way, if I'm speaking too fast, please let me know, because I've had that complaint from some people that I talk too fast and they can't catch up. Right? I'll try to slow down, right? Yes, so that you know, some of the traders are on Zoom. You will not see them on YouTube. That is my traders. They can join through Zoom and they can join through this. For the general public, you'll have to join through YouTube. Our traders only have the access to Zoom access. So this one, as long as we are in this, we're considering a correction for possible downside. With no divergence, that is a very strong probability, is that you just get another correction and you drop. We don't know that this doesn't drop more as well, right? It's possible that it drops and it drops and it drops. So what we're going to look for here is a flat, or I think most likely a flat before we drop. The depth of this pullback will tell us whether we're going to go up or whether we're going to go down. Now, that is pretty important, because right now we're looking for upside. We're looking for a continuation of this to the upside. But if it keeps dropping slowly and it comes back to this low, it will go back up, but only that this time it's going to make a flat for downside. Now, if you're watching me and you don't know wave analysis, that's intense. You don't understand the thing I said there just now. Why do you think it's going to come down and then go back up and all of that, right? Look at the previous patterns we have and you'll get why we do it. If you follow us for the rest of the week, it will be easy for you. If you're following me for a while, you know why, right? So we're looking for a buy setup as of now. As of now, we're looking for any possibility to buy this. But the more it keeps coming down, we're not selling it. There's no good sell setup on it. If it does give a good sell setup, I'll show you what we think is a good sell setup and how we sell it. I will just let it come down and look for the buy. If at any point there's a change where it starts to go sideways for a sell, we will let you know and we'll definitely sell it. So right now, there's no trade in that. We're just waiting. Silver. Silver, as of this point, we think can give a sell setup. The reason why is because I think this here looks like a running flat and there's a good chance it could give it. We're waiting for a sell setup from here to go down. You can actually put an entry order here, and we will do that if there's any news event coming on. We'll put an entry order here for the sell. That means we think this will correct itself, not necessarily go down, but correct itself. That's the first impulse in anything that is going to form, either a flat here or just a flag at the top. Now, there is a risk in this when you sell it, is that it could just drop, break this low, and then go back up. So this sell is not an ideal one. Like I said, that will only happen if we're in a news event when we think there's going to be huge momentum to the downside. As long as it's here, we'll try to get a flag to sell it before it breaks the low, and then we'll see what happens at that point, right? So I'm just going to put this here so you get an idea what we're looking for. This is the top. That has nothing to do with any trade. Take that out. Gold. Gold is a sell setup. This was a sell setup here. As you can see, at the start of it, this looks like a flat, but it's giving a sell setup. I wouldn't be surprised if this works its way down all the way down to the bottom here and then go back up and then drop, because this is the first impulse coming down from the top. Let me see if I can get that back to you again. So we're in the daily structure. We broke the top. See, we broke the top. Once we broke the top and we start to reverse like that, it's a very, very good sign that you will be going down. The question is, how low can it go? Traders tend to ask, well, where do you think this is going to go? Remember when this was breaking out here, we saw that coming because we had a correction and we know that once this is over, we're going to break this top. And if we break that top, we will definitely break through everything. So this leaves us with this up move. And that could be the top of it for a very long time, which means there's a good chance we will come down pretty deep into this. Something similar to this before we get a running flat. Sorry, and then upside. My apologies if I accidentally cough or so, because I do have a cold kind of a thing that will go away. And it's not enough to let us not do the webinar. I think I can do the webinar, right? So you'll excuse me if that happens. So this is making one of these weekly corrections. If you look at this one, the weekly correction was this move here. 1, 2, 3. So we're probably repeating the same thing here with this piece, making a weekly correction before we go for the next impulse upwards, which means there will be another impulse up. I don't think this is only consolidation. So this will be part of a bigger running flat. That means we're looking for sell setups. It doesn't mean we're not going to have buy setups. Just to let you know, we will have buy setups. As a matter of fact, gold, we were looking for a buy to correct this move up. So put it here. What we're looking for is this to drop some more, and it probably will not go very far because you're dropping as a correction, right? So this will probably do this, make a flag drop, make a flag drop. We're in this impulse. Eventually it goes back up. If it's a simple flat, it's going to be 1, 2, 3. If it is not a simple flat, you'll have a lot of corrections in here, a lot of corrections here, a lot of corrections here. Then you'll have the final impulse up and then drop. But let's see which one is going to be. We're looking for a sell setup right now. So this goes sideways. It probably could go up some more, but I don't think we have a good buy setup here. I do think it can go up some more. We're correcting this one. And when they're in a correction, they tend to correct pretty deep. But you don't have a really good buy setup. Should it drop back to this point, then we can consider that we might have a good buy setup to go for one more impulse up. We'll see if that happens today. Euro, definitely looking for a sell setup. As a matter of fact, we'll try to look for a sell setup from the top here coming down. We need a small flag. We'll get into that trade. I don't think it's the drop, but if we get a flag here, we'll go for it. You'll go for this, probably could be a running flat like this, or just drop to the bottom and this is all your correction. But I think most likely there are going to be more corrections. Euro is also going down. We're expecting more downside in the euro. Pound, we're looking for a sell setup. As a matter of fact, Pound might give you a sell setup right now. We broke the top, so you can put an entry here to sell. I'll go with this. It's pretty sharp. This move here is pretty sharp. So if this tag can start to go into consolidation for my traders, if it tags and go into consolidation, we'll just probably take it off for break even. So you want it to drop, you don't want it to tag. So this becomes a sell setup, an active sell. If you see a color like this, is an active sell in 15 minutes. If you see a red, it's an active sell in 60 minutes. That's something we learn. All of these are trade setups. So we're looking for sell setups, and this, we'll see how far that takes us. Remember, we're in this structure here. We broke the top, and there's a good chance if you want to go down more, they can go down from here, right? If it's going to just correct to go up, it's coming really sharp. But if they're just going to correct like this one, for example, it might just drop a little, make a correction, drop a little. So if it drops a little here, make a correction, drop again, we'll probably be looking for upside. We'll see if this makes a running flat. That is a possibility, right? For one more up. But it's a sell setup, so we'll go for the sell. You will also, if you're watching this and you're not in my group, you'll also see how we manage trades, because that's one of the most important things you'll learn, trade management, right? Because if you're doing poor trade management, it doesn't matter how good you execute your trades or how wonderful the setup is, you will mess with it. Because nothing goes in a straight line. So every time it tags you and you pull back a little, you close the trade, only to watch it goes. So trade management is going to be pretty important. Aussie, we're looking for a buy. I don't think we're looking for this buy as yet because we're still in the correction. I'll take that off. We were putting, that trade was only if this one would have come all the way to the bottom and then go back. So this is not a buy setup as yet, right? This is still in the correction. I'll take that off. If we break that top, it will likely be a running flat. So if we break this top, it will be a running flat. As of now, we're in the correction, which means this has to come down back before we get into the buy. Take these out. These were from last week. So what you're looking at is a pattern. See this one, it went above the top, but you don't buy into this because it has to come back here and then you can look for a buy setup. But I'm not sure we bought this either, because when we know that when it's the 1, 2, 3, it'll have to come back here. Right? So what we're looking for is this one doesn't have to come back. This one needs to come here and then go up. And the upside could be a lot more to the upside, which means in the bigger time frame, there's a lot more to the upside. We broke out of the daily. I think I might have shown you guys that daily big correction. If you watch my YouTube regularly, you probably would have seen this correction. Right? So once we broke out of this, there's a very, very high probability that this would eventually work its way back to the top there. And then we would have 1, 2, 3, and come back here. Because this came pretty low. In very rare cases, this will just continue to go, but very low, it means it's going to come back. Now, here's the thing. The question is, you ask, can this, from this point, still come back and retest the low? Nothing is impossible. It's possible. You could still see that happen. I don't see it happening right now, but it could happen. And what we would see is we'd see the turning point here, which we don't have. Right now, we don't have any divergence. I mean, we're getting some small divergence in it. That is because this one is not going as yet. Once this take off, that divergence would be gone, right? If that divergence, if we break this top and that divergence doesn't go away, then there's a very, very good chance we're coming back to the low. So we'll be waiting to see whether momentum comes back in. And that means, let's see what this does. It needs to come down back and then we will buy. We're not looking for a sell as such. I don't think you have the ability to get in and get out of this trade so quick. The distance it's going to go is only about 25 pips. And you're definitely not selling it there, because if you think you're selling here is a good idea, you should have probably sold this one, and then you see how bad that idea is, right? Because we saw this morning as this one coming down here, but we didn't sell it. The reason we didn't sell it because we don't know that this is the one that's going to come. I don't know that this is the one that's going to come. This could still go back up there, and then the next one comes. But I'm telling you, one of them is going to come, and when that one comes, then the buy becomes a very good trade, because now you have a complete pattern. Without the complete pattern, you're setting yourself up for failure if you jump into the trade. Right? So basically, we will wait to see if this comes back here. And if it does, then the buy becomes a really good trade. Selling it there is not a good idea. So we're waiting for a buy. If you see this, it means we're waiting for a buy setup. New Zealand, we're waiting for a buy setup. New Zealand, we could have got in earlier if you were here. If, let's say, you were looking at New Zealand at this point this morning, you probably could have get it here with the assumption that it might come back, but you put a stop here and that would be a good trade. So if you saw that and you were there, I don't know, that's 4 a.m. in the morning, my time or something like that, might be a trade. Right now, New Zealand, if we get a flag here, we can buy. We don't need to wait for anything, but you need some kind of a correction that will give you an impulse to buy. These are very small, they will stop. If it pulls back, would be better. If it pulls back like Aussie, come here and then go, that would be okay. But there's no need for it. There's no necessity for the pullback. It could happen or it could not happen. If we get a good consolidation here in the 1 hour, and I think I'll probably wait for a 1 hour consolidation, we'll take the trade. We'll look for a trade that comes up to the top. Now, New Zealand, unlike Aussie, New Zealand hasn't broken out of the daily consolidation. We're still in there. So, but we're at the very top of it. So at this point, it could either break this top and there's divergence already and don't give us, this stays right here. And there's a higher probability of this coming back here and then go, which means Aussie might come back too. Or this actually breaks out, take off, and this divergence goes away. Right? Then we go all the way to the top there. Now, every time we're at the top, we will have to be cautioned that is when we were in this, it was at the top, sorry, it would have been here. When you were here, it would have been here that we'd be cautioned. This was a buy to go to that top, and if you're lucky, it break out. When it comes there for you to confirm upside, you would want to see a consolidation to confirm that, which didn't happen. Instead, it came back to the low. So the same thing we look for, a consolidation, a confirmation for the upside, otherwise it comes back to the low. See? Hope that makes sense. Go back to the 1 hour. There's a buy setup, and we will take the buy setup. When we break this top, if the divergence, if this is not going anywhere and it still has divergence, there's a good chance we'll be turning. So this buy is a risky one, which means we will take the trade only if we can get it to break even. If this trade, if I don't think we can get that trade to break even when we buy it, we will not buy it. So that's why I'm waiting for a 1 hour confirmation, which means I need a 1 hour flag. And a 1 hour flag will give me, if it stays here like this for an hour, the chances are they'll do this and come back, and that will give me break even. Or they do this and go out, and that's my trade. Which one is it going to be? We'll see. I have no idea. Swiss is a sell setup. We just need to wait for it. This could go up a little more, and I don't think you want to buy it, but it could go up and it could keep doing this for a while, but then it's dropping. So as of now, structurally, this is a sell setup. No other choice, just wait for a sell. You can actually put that as an active sell now. This is an active sell setup. I think if you remember this pattern, those who were following me remember this pattern. As it comes to the top, expect it to drop. And the closer you get to the top, the more you want to be sure that you're looking for sell setups. Now we're here. I think we can agree that if you get a consolidation and you're in a drop, it could probably make another one drop, come here, and we'll get there before we go back up. So there's a very likelihood this flat is going to work. If I'm wrong about that flat, this thing just keeps dropping. Right? And there's only one possible way of being wrong about that flat. That is if we think this is a running flat. I don't like it at first. We were looking for a running flat. If you remember, if you're following me, you'll remember we were looking for this to be a running flat with this one. Like a 1, 2, 3 there, and then come back for this to make a running flat here. We're literally looking for that to be a running flat. But here's the thing. This is the impulse into that running flat. So this can't be it. This should have continued to go. And if it had continued to go, we will go back and put that as the running flat. But it's coming down. So I think, no, that's not the running flat. I think we're going to get a flat here, and then we're going to go. Now, here's the question. If you get a flat here and go, what do we do with this? Well, somewhere here, there's a contracting flat. We'll go figure it. We'll eventually figure out that that's a contracting flat. And what you're getting here is a smaller version of a move to upside. Once it breaks and stop, again, you would look for divergence. You'll see whether they're coming down back. It's not a fact that it has to come back, right? It could just keep going. We do have divergence, but that divergence is only with this one for a running flat, right? If we broke the top. If you didn't break the top, well, then that's just normal, right? It's not divergence. So come back to the 1 hour. We're looking for sell setups, and we were expecting it to come back to this low. So this is a good sell setup. Go with it. That was a sell setup we took last week. This is a top, showing you a top, not a sell. So this was a sell setup we took, and we're looking for more sell setups here. Right? CAD, actually, that's an active trade. You can put it, but we're not going to be selling it from there. You can put that in, sure, but that's not where we're planning to sell it, right? We're planning to sell it from the top, which means you want to go up some more. and try to get a sell from the top here. We don't have a sell setup. And as a matter of fact, I think be careful. If you don't get a real good setup, it could drop like this and go right back up. We would put this as a running flat if that happens, right? If that happens, we might even look for a buy from here to the top, because it's going to go back up in this one, and then you still have all of these to repeat, right, on the way up. Still have all of these to do there before it dropped. So it all depends on whether we get this sharp drop or not, and then we'll decide what to do with it. For now, you can put an entry here. I don't think this is going to drop through today. Maybe by Wednesday, you will see us get that trade. All right, so let's go. CAD. Okay, CAD needs to go up. This one is going up. It's not a buy setup. Again, that is not a buy setup. We wanted to break that up, and then we would look for the sell in the CAD. What if it doesn't go up, but it consolidates here? Well, who cares? I'm not interested in the consolidation here as yet, because this is your impulse as far as we can see, and I don't see any sell setup in it. So we'll wait. If we do get the sell setup, we'll take it. If it consolidates here a lot, and we think that is a good sell, and this was all the consolidation, we'll go for the sell. But as of now, I don't think that's all the consolidation. So let's leave it like this for now, and then we'll see. Like all the yen pairs, we were in a big consolidation here. We thought this would make 1, 2, 3. That would have been pretty easy and simple, but it didn't. So we're making something more complex. I'll take this off. We're making something more complex here, which means we can be stuck here for a very long time. This one could even come back to the top. I don't think it's going to break the top, but I can see them coming back here, then dropping again, going back up, coming back down, going back up, and then drop. So we might be stuck here for a very long complex pattern. We'll see how that goes. There is no trade set up here except if you want to get a sell setup, and we don't have the sell setup yet. It's just going up. You can put an entry over here, but that is useless. Unless this is going to drop really fast during a news event, that is useless. We'll try to sell it from the top. By the way, you may notice that it's going up, right? Should we buy this? Well, it's not like you shouldn't, but the risk is too high and it's not worth it. These flags are really, really small. If you get a flag like this to the upside, then yes, we can take the chance. So should this stop and consolidate here for a flag like this, we'll consider buying that at least to get back to this stop. So then it will be a buy step. Otherwise, to that, those small ones are not worth it. Euro-CAD. Sell setup. If we get a flag, that would be the best thing. Wait for a flag here. And let's see if we can get that trade done. It could drop. This one could drop. Now, this one doesn't necessarily need to consolidate a lot. The pattern is this one. Again, if you haven't been following me for a while, go back to these dates, about this date, and watch us draw these arrows and watch them play out properly, right? This is what we're doing. So there was a challenge. I don't know. I think the last live session we did, the challenge was how many of you are going to get a trade from the bottom here to break this top? Or to go back to that top, actually to this arrow. How many of you are going to get this trade? And how many trades you're going to get in that? We had a challenge in our group, and the challenge is the same thing. How many of you are going to get a trade coming down? That was a sell there. Let's see how many sells you're going to get come here. This is very, very complex. It's not easy to trade and to keep the trade. There's a lot of pullback in it. There's a lot of sideways movement that will confuse the hell out of you and will scare the hell out of you if you don't know what you're looking at. So we're looking for sell setups, and I think it's going to come and break this low. Well, it doesn't have to go that far, but minimum come break that low, and then we'll be going up because the bigger picture is upside. You can already see it, right? This is the impulse, and we're correcting in here. This is the simplest pattern that could form. 1, 2, 3. It doesn't mean it's going to make that pattern. Let me get that clear. That is always, you always start with the simplest. It doesn't mean that is what it's going to do. This thing could stay here and get very, 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 very complex, and then we go. But anyone who is doing forecast would never draw that. You're always going to start with the simplest pattern and then watch it becomes complex, and you'll add to the complexity as it's going. Because all of this as of now is just your imagination. Right? That is only your imagination if you keep drawing all those complex patterns. As of now, it's just a simple pattern. So we'll wait to see if it starts to become more complex, and then we'll add the complexity to it. Right now, it's going down very nice, and that simple pattern seems good. So we're looking for a sell setup here. Greater than the 15, if we get a flag, we'll sell it. I would not jump into it without a flag. So be careful, right? Try to get a flag there, and then we'll take this up, because this could go right back up. It could be a flat right here and upside. Euro-Aus. Let it go back up, and then we look. We want this to go back up, and then we're looking for a sell setup. It did break the top, but the problem with this one here is if you look at the pound-Aus, this one didn't break the top of the pound-Aus. So it looks more like a sideways move to go back and retest this top. I want them to either retest this top or this one. So go back up there, and then the sell would be okay. Because you notice this sell is, we were thinking about selling it this morning, but it's not going down the way I think it should go. Now, there's a chance that this is the flat, and we're missing something. Because we had this sell here this morning, but we pull it because the pound-Aus is not looking the same way, and the pound-Aus looks like it has to go back up. So if I show you why we pull it, because of this one. See, this one is coming down also, but we never got back to that top, which means in this one, we didn't break the top. And this needs to go back for running flat. So the only way we're going to be selling this is when you get a move that goes back to the top here. Sorry. When you get this move back to the top there, then this becomes a very good sell setup. Again, those look like consolidations that maybe there's a contracting flat there, but that's the problem. We don't trade contracting flats, or not this type of contracting flats, because it needs to go back, make a running flat, and then it becomes a sell. And when it becomes a sell, it's not really going to go very far. It might just retest this low, go back to the top, drop one more. It might be another flat in the whole big structure. We're in this big pattern. From here, this should go up. You notice there's a very big flat in this one here, like 1, 2, 3. So if this comes here, go there, drop again, it will go back to the top, come here, and then probably go there. So we're expecting that big flat to form at the bottom here. This to be at the bottom there, and then this move and this move. So this is the short move. The big move should be to the top, make a running flat, and then drop. See? So although it looks like a mess, if you look into the mess, it's making sense. There's some kind of organized chaos going on here, right? So it only looks like that. What we're looking for is this to go back up before we decide we want to sell. And then we would look for a buy setup to the upside. So if you're going to get this sell, it's only to come here, and then you're looking for a buy setup. Because these are two flats inside of an impulse. See, this is a flat. This is a flat. There will be two flats inside that impulse. Pound Yen. There was a flag here. We might have missed that one, but not such a good one, because this is going up really, really slow. If it makes another flag, we can buy. If it makes another flag, we can buy, because it's going to come back to this top. Pound Yen should go up to this level here. Right, this is a deep pullback. You had a deep pullback here, you had a deep pullback here. So this could go, but it's going really slow right now. So if this is to make a bigger flag, you can go to see whether it gets to the top. You can take the risk, because this might be all the consolidation you get. The only thing is it's going up way too slow. We want it to move faster. Let's see if we get another flag, we'll buy it. This is a good flag, though. I don't know, we missed this morning. This was a good one to buy into that. So we'll wait and see. It didn't make a lot more flags to the upside. If it's going to continue to go up like this, there'll be more flags, more correction, and we'll buy it. So we're assuming that this could make a flat 1, 2, 3 and go there. If it stays here, it will be a big, huge consolidation. Pound New Zealand. Downside. Our traders should be in the sell already. How many hours is there? Let's go. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3. This is the third hour. If this doesn't drop and break the low, close the trade. Re-enter. Right, so if this one doesn't come back to the bottom here, or the next one doesn't drop, close the trade, take break even, put an entry under the low here. And if it repeats it, well, stay out of it. Your stop should be higher because of a possible running flat, but this is not the running flat. Matter of fact, this one doesn't look good. I would have closed it now. See, these are sideways for upside. So you take break even, put the entry under the low. If you closed it earlier, you did well. So I'll close it to break even, put the entry here. Because it's not going, there's a good chance you get this spike. It could spike up there and then come back for a small running flat. So we'll take this off. And it's still a sell setup. You can put this in active sell, but you put on there now. Pound CAD, sell setup. We can actually take it now. There's a possibility for running flat here. I don't think so. So we can go with the sell now and we'll manage that one. Put it about 2 spread away from this. Right, so put this sell set up here and let's see if this drops. We're going for that trade. This could go one more down at least or more. Watch it when it breaks this low. We're going to get that to positive. And then we're going to see where it goes. So we'll change that to the sell. We're looking for the buy, but it will be only after we break through the low. Because it looks like they're going to break the low again. Pound Swiss. Okay, we're looking for a buy setup, but not this one. The buy setup would have had to be for this flag here. So once it drops here, and if it goes there, it dropped to the bottom here, you take that trade off. Right? By rule, we would take off a trade like that. But if any of my traders are tagging, not a problem. We can get out of it. Right? Remember, if this comes back to the bottom, you close the trade. It still right now is upside. Right? It's still upside. It still has to go. We haven't broken this top. So you can put an entry here, but if it to come lower into this, we'll take it off. So an entry order there, assuming that the consolidation is over, and it's going to take off now. If you're in the trade, it comes in and it's not breaking the top, or when it breaks the top, if it's not going, take it off or break even. But you want to see it go, right? Remember, there's still a chance that it's not the running flat. Right? That it's not this big expanding flat, sorry, but it's a running flat in here for an upside. So this is a buy setup as of now. Should it come lower into this, we'll take it off. We'll look for a sell. So if any of the traders are tagged in that, we're looking for an exit. Okay. Let's go. Aussie Swiss. It hasn't come down, so don't put the trade. It's still in a correction. Wait for the pullback, and then we'll take the buy. We need to confirm that pullback there, then we'll look for the buy setup. And we're still not sure this is a contracting flat. We're just assuming it's a contracting flat, but it's a buy setup. Aussie Yen. So we're not buying this. We're waiting for it to break the top, and now we're going to look for a sell setup. So the sell setup would be get a flag here, trade this to the downside to break this low. So entry here, we'll get a stop here, and we're going for this trade. Let's see if we can get that trade. So we're looking for a sell setup there. Aussie CAD. Okay, this thing is still consolidating. The big picture is upside. You're expecting this to go up more. This is a sharp pullback, so we'll have to wait and see, what consolidation is happening here before we get any trade. CAD Yen. CAD Yen could continue to go up like this. This one is not all the correction. I think it's pretty strong. This is more corrective. So if this starts to drop, we'll sell, but we don't have any trade in it right now. There was a flat here. There was a small flat. It broke. If you're trading this, you took break even. This is probably going to come back here, give you another flag. If we take that, we might end up at break even, but we can consider it. Should it come back now, we can consider whether we want it, but it might still be a break even trade. What if it's making an AB squeeze? A, B, and squeeze to the top before it drops. That could be an option. We could look at that as a possible AB squeeze. Can we go back for a possible running flat here with this? We go back for a possible running flat and this just dropped to the bottom. That is a possibility too. So you can put an entry order here. For the sell, take this off. Assuming that would be a running flat, we can put an entry order for a sell. I put an entry order here for a sell and see if this drops. So the sell entry is valid until we get a buy setup there. And the running flat is temporary because it could be still that that's not a running flat. This here was your flat. Both of those patterns look very likely. And both of them look very likely. Contracting flat, and this is forming a separate one of its own. But we will look at both of them as possibilities. Aussie, New Zealand. They should go up. There should be a buy setup, but you don't have any trade. They should go up some more. Matter of fact, they should go up a lot more, but we don't have any buy setup as yet. Unless this was a buy here, unless you want to put another entry here above the top here and leave it. So you can put that as an active buy, but we'd rather get the trade from a better place. We're looking for a sell setup in the New Zealand yen here. I think this one is pretty easy. From this point, we want this to drop. because you have a 1, you have a 2, you have a 3, let it drop, wait for a flag here, and then we're selling. So New Zealand yen, we're waiting for the sell setup. We might get it by this afternoon. You'll put the trade on and you'll see. New Zealand CAD, it's a buy. If you're in it already, no problem. It's making a bigger flat. Seems like it's making a bigger flat. This one didn't come all the way to the bottom, probably running flat. It's still an active trade. Let's say you're in this, it's still an active trade for now. If you're not in the trade, you can put an entry order above the top here for a buy. So we're going to assume that that's just a pullback within the 1 hour candle. See, that's just a pullback there. That doesn't mean anything as yet. There's no active. Your stop for that trade is here. Your entry is here. The target is way up above this top, right above the top. So it's more like a 1-to-1 for now, but it's a pretty safe trade in that you can get out for very small loss should it go down. Right? I think they're going down. In some of the charts, this is the low. If you're using FXCM or any other chart, I'm sorry, if you're using O1 or any other chart, this is the low, which means this is the first impulse up. This is your flag for upside. So as of now, it's still valid for the upside. You can, if you're not in the trade, you don't have to click on, just put an entry above the top. This is for traders who took it earlier. So we'll put this as an active buy. New Zealand Swiss. We'll look for a sell setup. It will probably make a flat there, break the top, and then we get a running flat. We'll see to that. CAD Swiss, you can go for a buy setup. That was a sell. That's a nice sell. It dropped. What was a big picture to the downside? Yep, sell setup, by the way. So if you're tagging that, don't worry, that's just a pullback. That is an active sell we had there. If you're tagged in it, great. You're just tagged, you're a little upside down, maybe a paper two. As of now, you leave it. That's the first pullback. You should not worry about it. Actually, the running flat here was much better than I thought. You could even pull it with this one for the running flat. So that's a good sell. If you're not in the trade, you can put an entry order here. It's still a sell setup. This is what we're looking at. See? This looks like a flat. It should come back here and then go back up. So that's a trade we're looking for. One more drop and then upside. How deep will this go? Well, we don't know. It's still going down, right? The downside is still open. It could go as far as this one, but then go back up. But once it breaks the low, we're assuming you'll have a lot of divergence at the bottom here, and then it's going to go back up. So there is a trade to go. If this becomes a flag for one more up, no problem. We'll get out of that trade for a positive or a small loss. It's still valid as of now. That's just pullback, so you don't worry about every little pullback, right? If it's going to go up, let's say this is a flag for upside. Or let's say this turns out to be a flag for one more up and then come. Well, at some point here, it'll make a correction. See? They make some correction, we'll exit the trade. You don't need to close the trade right now because the next candle could drop to the bottom. So if you're not in, put an entry here. If you're in, wait till at least an hour more or so for the exit, right? If you guys keep all your questions, I promise we'll take the questions just as I finish all of this, right? We need to go through them very fast. Swiss yen, we don't have anything. We'll be looking for a sell setup, but it's only within this range. So it's very short. Sell setup. This is a sell setup, right? This could drop anytime. So this was a sell, this is a sell, this was a sell, this was a sell. So these are all sell setups. Only sells. Natural gas, let it pull back and then go. We need to pull back and then we're going for a buy setup, but it needs to pull back. This was a buy here. We closed the buy here this morning. If you were still in, if you did close it here, but wait for this to pull back before you get into the buy. Oil. Okay, take this off because it went back to the top. So it's a buy now. You can actually put a buy above the top. You have a small running flat there, right? So this becomes a buy setup. This morning on the 15th, there was a small flag at the bottom. We were trying to sell this flag here, but it goes back to the top. It comes back here. It's a flat. That's a buy setup. Put an entry for a buy. Remember, the upside is limited. Right? So it's a buy setup, but the upside is limited as to how far this thing is going to go, right? If it takes off like a rocket and break through the structure, then it will go all the way to the top. But as of now, we're still in this consolidation. We're still in the downside. That is the downtrend here. Okay. So this could be just a pullback that goes here and come down back. It's a buy setup. Take it. Let's see how far it goes. If we break through the structure, we're going all the way to the top. But it has to break through the structure first. So this is the first move up, like this one is the first move up in the whole thing. So let's see how far it goes. That's a nice buy setup, by the way. It's coming down. We can go for the buy now. We wanted this to come down this morning. It's coming down that much. You can put an entry order to buy above the top. So we're looking for a buy setup. All right. Let's get the buy setup there. This one, it's also going to be a buy, but we can't take the trade. There's no risk to reward in it, so we'll wait for that one. Nasdaq, it's coming down. Oh, this one is in a big, huge sideways. So I think when this comes down here, we have to go back up. We might even come back down, go back up, come back down, and then go. So we're making the core consolidation here right now. It's in the core consolidation. All right, so we wait for this. You guys keep your questions. We'll get them, we'll answer them. Because if you're writing a question to a chart that I'm doing right now and you don't put which chart it is, by the time I get to your question, I wouldn't even know where the relevance of the question. So if you're writing a question to a chart that I just did, you make sure you put what chart you're thinking it. And then when I come back to read your question, I'll know which chart you're talking about. All right, you remember, so you can tell me which chart you're talking about. We're looking for a buy setup here, but the problem is once it breaks its top, the chances are it's going to drop. Right, so this one, be careful with any buy setup. There's a good chance it'll just break through a little and then come right back down. This is the sell setup. That we sold this one last week. You can get a sell. So it's going up, but this is a sell setup. Wait for a sell here. You can actually move this a little higher at this point. DAX, sell setup. If you're in that sell, you're doing well. If you close and re-enter, you're good to go. No problem. You could have closed and re-entered the trade. Because it tagged you, just stay there, close, re-enter, watch it for a possible one more up, right? Because you got a consolidation in here now, right? We didn't have the consolidation here when we put the entry here, right? But if you close and you re-enter, which is what you should have done, it's a good trade, put it to break even, and let's see if they go back up or if they drop. So if you're in that trade, put it to break even right now. This is coming down, but from this point, unless we get a flag, we're looking for a buy setup. It could go back to the top, right? It did break the top already in the bigger structure. There's no need to go higher. All right, we broke the top. It can turn, but this is not the turn we are looking for. If it makes a flag under this low, then we'll sell. As of now, it's a buy setup you're looking for. Nifty. If you get another flag buy, it's making a flag here in the 1 hour. That's a buy setup. You can go with that. All right. Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin drop, it's still dropping, but that is in the consolidation. So this one came here, that was a buy, dropped here, then this is a sell setup, this is a sell setup, you're getting another sell setup. Here's the thing, you're in a consolidation. So when you're in a consolidation, they tend to go both ways. This could go right back up to the top here and then come back down. Right, that will just make a huge flat here. See, kind of a huge flat. So as it stands right now, this might not be the best sell setup you're getting. It's a sell setup, but if you take it with caution, taking sell setups from the top is okay. Taking sell setup at the bottom is not the best one. So you can put the sell here, but unless you can manage a trade that is just going to break the low and go back up, that will be a too high a risk trade for you because we're still in the consolidation. The consolidation looks upside. So the bigger picture of this is if it consolidates here, it goes back up. This is just a correction. Correction, consolidation, whatever you want to call it. Right? So that means that at that point, you'll have to be careful. Ethereum. I'm going to go through all of them and then we'll take the questions. This is more downside and it could go a lot more downside. So you can go for sell setups there to see. What we're looking at is this bigger picture. We're in this one. See this here? It went to the top. It came back down. It went to the top. It came back down. It went to the top. It can either come back down as a correction and go again, or it can drop to retest this low. So sell setups from the top there, good idea. And if you can short it, that's not a bad idea. You just have to be careful. Remember, I'm not making trade calls. I'm showing you how we trade based on the method I'm using called wave analysis. A method, by the way, that I created, right? Derived from all the other wave methods that were before me. So it's not Elliott wave and it's not Dow theory. It's a mixture of those with much better look into it. So anywhere you see wave trading, not Elliott wave trading, but wave trading, it's something I created. I think we had a nice flat here for a sell. You're getting a flag, that should be a sell. XRP is a sell setup. You can look at this. This was a sell here. The sell was under the impulse, but if you sold that, that's good. Put it to break even because you're at the low. So either they go back up now or they drop. Right? This was very sharp. So both possible. Worst case is break even. Should it continue to drop? That is your trade. Should it go back up? We'll sell it again from the top. It's still a sell setup. It wouldn't change if it goes back up. If it goes back up, the only thing it will do is do this, make a flat, and then drop. If it's going to drop now, this is all your correction. I think we will even consider an expanding flat should it drop from there. Right? So we'll see. That's why the sell is good. ADA. It's coming down. This was a correction here, right? You had a correction here. See that? Kind of make a 1, 2, 3, and they're coming down back. This is not really an impulsive move to the downside as yet, which means that this could still go up. You could put an entry at the buy. Sorry, wrong place. You could put an entry at the buy here, and this will still go up. Now, what would change that to downside is if it starts to make a correction here. Then we will sell it. Then we will go for the sell setup. So as of now, that is still upside. Right? This one came from here, make a correction, go up, which means it can continue to go. On the big picture, yes, there's a lot upside. So if you were watching my webinar and you see this, you would know what that means. That means it's curving, it's turning to the upside. And at some point, it's going to get all the way to the top. Can it go all the way to the top? Well, we don't know. This was the lowest point, so this could go up quite a lot. So it's still a buy setup as it stands right now. BNB? I think this is going to drop more. We're going to break these lows, so look for sell setups. You can go, if it makes a 1 hour flag sell, you're getting a 1 hour flag, that is a sell setup. That actually isn't. There are a number of sell setups. This was sell, this was sell, this is the sell. Dash, downside. If you see this, you know it's downside. So, oh, I see this was the low. So you could have sold this, sell here, wait for another flag and sell. Dot, let's see what this is. This actually looks upside. We expected this to come back here, but that is because we're looking for a move down like this, which we got. So if we're going to put it, it's going to be more like this now. And then upside. Now that you've got that move, what we'll be looking for is upside. See? We wanted this impulse down to complete that pattern and then more upside. See this one? 1, 2, 3, upside. Look for buy setups. It could drop a little more. We're not saying it can drop a little more, but I think the buy side is what you start looking for. Now we'll see. Also the same thing here. This was a buy, this was a buy, this was a buy. You've got a flat here. Look for buy setups. Wait for it to drop some more, wait for a flag, get into that trade to the upside. So same here. This one actually was the buy to break that top, but this one could drop now. See, this one kind of broke the top and it's coming back. If we got that running flat correct, this is going to drop more. If we're wrong about that running flat, then this is the running flat, which is a possibility that they're making a different one here. Then it's just going to come a little more here and go back up. So for a sell setup, I want a 1 hour consolidation. For a buy setup, it has a turn, give me a flag, and then it's a buy. This was your buy, you're off of that already, take it out. By rule, you should close that trade. This should drop a little more, it's already there, and then look for the buy setup. It come a little more here, and then look for buy setup. Okay. So we're looking for this to come about here, and then look for the upside. Same here. This needs to come a little more down to this level. Break this low, we'll expect it to break the low. So while it was here, we expect it to go up, break this top, come down, break this low. Let me set the line for the low. Come down, break this low, and then go back up. So the next arrow you'll see is the next arrow saying go back up. I want to see how this come down, where it come down to. It looks like it's going to come down to here. So we can move this like that and upside. Can it be more complex than that? Absolutely. But it will still be a correction for upside. And the final one. This one actually might have been this. That's all. This is a separate flat of its own. We thought this would go back to the top and then drop, but it didn't. So you can make an argument for a contracting flat here. Or we'll get a running flat. We could get ourselves a running flat here, which means it's come back here and drop some more. This is a correction for upside, but it's correcting a lot. So this could come back much more and then go. This was an interesting one from the bottom when we start buying it from here, because we were expecting a sharp move up like that. It's not going up as sharp as we'd expected, but it's going up. So I still think it's going to go. I wouldn't be surprised. I can move this a little here because I think this one is going to go from here now. So we'll put it from here, pull it down. So I think this is still going to go up, and you never know. This might be the sharp one all the way to the top there and then come back down, because when it gets there, it will come back down. Now, the only thing that happens is when it gets there, when it gets to the top here, is that it make another correction and go, and another correction and go, and another correction. But this is downside first, right? Even if it doesn't break the low, it's downside. So when it starts to go down, if we see that it's not an impulse, but it's a correction, all we do is trade it back. Right? You trade it down and then you trade it back up. So for now, we're going to assume that it's going to come here, break the low again, and then probably start the up move again. So that's it. We've completed this. I see a lot of my traders are in this room. Okay. I see Ovidio took the profit. I don't know to which one, but I think it's the one of them that you're supposed to close already. So let's go. Here's what I'm going to do now. I know a lot of you want to go through those trades we just took. I will go through some of the trades, but let me take some questions. So my traders, if there's anything happening that I need to look at urgently, put it in the chat. I'll get it. And I'll take some of these questions. Let me go through very quick. What is questions? Your first steps. That is from Victor. Thank you, Vic. I have a question, please. Do we rely only on the models, divergence in the MACD and the momentum in the waves without referring to wave or the designation such as it's okay, let me make it simple for you. Forget about the counting. The counting of the waves is more of a subjective thing. That's one. And the second thing is just to keep you on track of where you're going. So let's say you're living in, I don't know, New York City. The only time you need a map to move around New York City is if you don't know the street name and where they are and where they're located, right? You need the names of the street so that you know where you are at any given point of time. If you know the city well, you can drive without the map. So if you know wave analysis very good and you understand where you are on every given stage of the chart, right? Like where you are on the daily, where you are on the 4 hour, where you are on the 1 hour, then you really don't need to label it. And most times the labeling is more of a it makes it look nice, right? It makes it look complicated. Like, oh, these guys know this stuff so good. Like, wow, look at that labeling there. Most times it's useless. They themselves have no clue what they're doing. So just not to start a big conflict with all the elite waivers, the labeling is irrelevant to your trading. And I will prove that during this week, that we're not going to label anything, but we're going to have some really good trades. And you're going to see that you can forecast the direction and you can make trades without the labeling. The labeling in that sense for your trading purpose is irrelevant. So you don't need to do it. You're just going to be wasting a lot of time trying to put where the A is, where the B is, where the C is, where all these things are, whether you got that right, is the WXYZ. And the amount of time you waste on that, you'll be missing all the trades, which is what most elite waivers do, by the way. They spend too much time labeling and less time trading. We spend more time trading, less time labeling. Well, no time labeling, put it that way. Okay, there were 2 more messages that you posted. You removed. I don't know why. Maybe you didn't put the update about Bitcoin. We did the Bitcoin already. Let me see what's the next question. I noticed in most cases that the theory of completing waves and the correction also coincide with the... Oh, okay, here's the thing. We're not doing a course on wave analysis here, guys. So when I say ask questions that, you know, like we can answer, because the questions you're asking is based on wave analysis, and you're asking not the wrong questions. You're asking questions that need about a week to explain to you. First, you would have to understand, let me give you you would have to understand how we count waves. I don't count waves the way elite waivers count waves. That's the first thing you will have to learn, right? The second thing is you will have to learn all the patterns, the precise patterns we looked at. They're not the same patterns the way elite wave looked at those patterns. For example, what they will call a correction, sometimes I look at it and it's one sharp move down. Literally, I'm going to tell you, and I've seen ElliotWave.com done this. Like they would look at it and they would see a move going up like this, and it would pull back like this, and it started to go like this, and they would label A, B, and then they would 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for C. That is incorrect. I'm going to tell you right now that is incorrect, and I'm going to challenge anybody to it. This is not a correction. That is one part of a possible correction. Remember what it's called. It's a pattern. If you're going to have A, B, and C, you have to have three parts. You can't have one part having A, B, and C. It doesn't make sense, right? And A, B, and C means you have three parts. You have A, you have a B that is much longer in terms of time than the A, and then you have a C, right? You can't have a B that is shorter in time than A and C, than both of them. And you can't have one single sharp drop as a pattern, right? A pattern is not a straight line unless you have a straight line pattern. A pattern is a flat. You know why Elliott called them the flat? Because this is eventually flat. If you look at 1, 2, 3, it's flat. It's flat in nature. This is an impulsive move. This is a flat move, right? It's very simple. Flats are three ways. If you're coming down, that's the impulse. If you make 1, 2, 3, this is what you call a regular flat. That's just a flat. If this flat is to break the low and then go back and don't break the top and then drop, a running flat. If this flat is to break the low and then go break the top and then come back, an expanding flat. Do you notice something? One is very flat, one of them expands and one of them didn't expand. And if you make the flat and you don't break the low and you don't break the top and then you come down, it's a contracting flat. So if you have this, you get this one and then you get this, and then it goes like this and drop. I call that a contracting flat. That's a name I give it because that doesn't exist in Elliott wave theory, contracting flats, right? But it's a flat. The only thing is that it contracts. It didn't expand. What's the opposite of expanding? Then contracting. It's logical. It doesn't call, and you notice any of these that there's no one single piece in it, but three pieces in all of them. That's the minimum. So if you look at all the corrections and the way I look at charts, like I said, we're not going to go through lessons. Otherwise, you'll have to stay 6 weeks with me, and you know what that costs you, right? If you want to stay 6 weeks for me to teach you wave analysis. So this is mostly for trading purpose, but good for the questions. I'm glad you're asking them. At least you get to know what you need to know, right? And how much you don't know. So basically, that's it. If I go through the whole process of it, a lot of what we do is not what Elliott wavers do and how they look at it and alternatives of pattern and all of that. Those are just not existing anymore. Maybe they existed in his days. They don't exist anymore. There's no alternation of patterns. Anybody who take that, I'll be happy to let them show me that in the chart. Because I could see about 10 flats and no triangles. Literally, where's the alternation of patterns? It doesn't exist. Show me what you call, I think, what was the name? We don't even use that pattern. I forgot what was it with that 535. So it doesn't exist. It really doesn't exist. You can fix things to make them look what you want to do. Yeah.
You mean the zigzag?
Yeah, the zigzag. Thank you, Vic. See, I haven't used it. I forgot about the name of it. Show me a zigzag pattern. There is nothing like a zigzag pattern in these days. It might have existed sometime before, but we are trading with computers now. Just remember that patterns will vary and they will change. When people would go once a day or twice a day, sit down for 4 hours and trade and close the market and then go home and drink, whiskey and relax. The patterns then would be different from the patterns when people are trading around the clock, 24 hours a day. It doesn't matter what you're trading. 24 hours a day, you're trading it. Around the clock, starting from Australia all the way to the end of, end of the world, right? If Australia is the start, well, New Zealand is where it starts, but Australia is the biggest market after New Zealand, right? I know New Zealand has a big market. And then in Japan, as you're trading through the Asian market all the way to the New York market, people are trading. And they're trading with computers. You're trading with high frequency robots and all of that. So things are happening differently. Here's the one thing that doesn't change. And this is physics, by the way. This has nothing to do with trading. This has to do with physics. Nothing can go up forever, and nothing can go down forever. If you throw a ball up, it's going to lose momentum, and then it's going to drop. Or not like that, sorry. The ball will start to go up like this, and it will lose momentum at the top, and then it will drop. You notice one place that has those two curves for you? Guess what that curve is telling you? The chart is losing momentum and it's going to drop. If the curve looks like this at the bottom, the chart is losing momentum and it's going to take off. Now you learned something, right? It's physics. It has nothing to do with anything. If you throw a ball up, what happens? It comes down back, right? It doesn't go up forever. That's just nature. Nothing moves in one direction forever. So if you go with that basic principle, if something is dropping, at some point it's going to go back up. If you throw a ball down, you go up in second floor and throw the ball. And what is it's going to hit the floor and bounce. Right? It can't go down forever. I mean, if you go the highest and you throw it's the idea is that even if you throw something up in the air, it's not coming down in a straight line. Because there's wind, there is a lot of things that will make it not go in a straight line. There is nothing like straight line in nature. So if we use that concept in charts, that it can go forever, then there's a point that it has to stop. So if you have a very sharp move, all that is going to happen is that it's going to stop and start to do something like this. It could do like this, or it could do like this. Right? What we look for is what happens inside here. And then we know that when it does this, guess what happens? It goes back up. Now, if it's going up sharp in one direction, you have a trend. You have an impulse, a correction, and an impulse. If it's going up like this, but going up, you're going up in a correction. Maybe a big move, but a correction. In that correction is a trend. It's an uptrend. You're going up, you're pulling back, you're going up, you're pulling back, but the pullbacks are pretty deep. That creates a different pattern. All of this in general will create some kind of a pattern. Forget about what the name of the pattern is or what it should look like. It will create some kind of a pattern. Now, your job as a trader, which I have been doing for so many years and which I have teach my traders, is how to identify what pattern you see in there. First, identify it. For you to know you're identifying it correctly, you need to know how to look at it. You need to understand where the impulses are, where the correction are, how to put them together, what patterns would look like, what patterns exist in the past, and that is actually a real pattern and not your imagination. What do I mean by real pattern? It means I've seen a pattern like that 1,000 times, and that pattern will repeat itself in the future, 80% of the time. So you need somebody who have seen 1 million patterns before that repeated themselves with an 80% probability. And that's where I come in. Well, because I have created most of those patterns. Most of those patterns that we look at do not exist the way Elliott look at them or Elliott waivers look at them. I wouldn't know how Elliott look at them, but the way now Elliott waivers look at patterns, it's not correct most of the time. Like I said, they will look at a straight line and call it a correction. That's wrong. That's incorrect in its nature itself. So anywhere you see wave analysis, you should know I'm the one, right? Because they learn it here. And a lot of Elliott waivers have become wave analysis trader because they start to figure out that what I'm saying makes sense. Right? You're looking for a time. Remember, this thing has 2 axes, and this is math I'm teaching you now. 1, 2. This is the price axis. This is the time axis. This one has to do with price. This has to do with correction. Correction goes in time, not in price. Right? Not price movement. Price movement happens, but it happens really slow. Impulses move fast. So you're always trying to catch the next impulse from the correction. So you just have to understand where is the correction is, understand it correctly, understand when it's ending, understand what to look for. All of those things is what we do in our trading room. And we will show you that, by the way, because you're not going to get it that easy. A lot of you may think you can come here and I'll just watch him and I'll learn it. Well, guess what? There are traders who have been watching me for 2 years and then decide to join the group because they figure out after 2 years, they still need to go learn this stuff. It's not as easy as it looks. Right? So you will eventually, if you want to learn it, you'll eventually end up here. So I'm not really worried about it. I hope you want to learn it seriously because I want the majority of people that I know trading to learn this stuff, right? Because the more people learn it, the easier it becomes for all of us as retail traders to trade, not investment trade. They trade on a different whole thing. As retail trader, this is very good for us. It gives you an edge in the market, right? Well, if your biggest problem is knowing when to end, here's the question. That's a problem for everybody. There's not a single person in the world who knows where a trend is ending or where one is starting. But here's the thing. The good thing about it is you don't need to know that. The way we trade, you don't need to know whether it's going to end there or it's going to start there. That's not the point. That's way offline of how you're going to trade. You need confirmation that it might be ending or it might be starting. And then you start trading. See? Once you get that confirmation, like here's gold might be a good example of that confirmation. So as I'm looking at gold right now, remember what I said to you guys. This is a learning lesson. You may want to pay attention. Remember what I said. A number of things I said. 1 is we broke the top. 2 is I think this is a correction upwards. 3, I want to see an impulse down. 4, I want to see a correction. And then when I get where I think that correction would be the best sell setup, which is a confirmation, I'll be selling it. Now, you may say, we think we're waiting for a sell. No, we already sold gold like about 4 times or 5 times already. Why? Because we can do the same thing I just showed you on the 15 minutes. And on the first impulse down, we can get trades. On the first impulse down, we could be selling here and selling here and selling here and selling here before we set this correction, which in either case we'll be buying gold and selling it. If you go back to one of my webinar a few days back when this was starting to correct, I think when this piece was starting to correct here, and somebody sent me a message with one of the traders saying, hey, I'm not going to be buying gold. I'm not going to be selling gold. I'm waiting for the buy only. Well, guess what? We bought it and sold it and bought it and sold it, and we did all of that stuff, right? Because you can do both of that as a wave trader. If it's making waves, you can catch the waves both ways. You just need to know whether within that wave, you have an advantage, you have an edge, and there's a risk to reward to it. If there's no risk to reward, then you don't trade it. That's all. So in this case, what we're looking at? We're looking at this, and if you look carefully, we have a sell setup here now. Can that become a buy setup? Sure. You can see that these were mostly sell setups. This was a sell setup. These are mostly sell setups, all of these. Now, what would be a buy setup? This drop here, right? Let's say it dropped to the bottom and do this and give me a flag here. We will be buying this to go back to retest that up. We're in a correction, but that's a trade that will give you risk to reward, so you will take the trade regardless. It's a downtrend. We think it's going to go down, yes, but you don't have to wait for it to go down. If you're getting a trade that is a 3-to-1 or a 2-to-1 in a buy, you buy it. See? And you don't have to know where it's going. Maybe this is not the start of the downside. We believe this is the start of the downside because we have a really huge impulse, but maybe it's not. What if this is to do this? Let me give you another idea. What if this doesn't break today, but it goes back to the top here, and then it come back here? I think by now you would know we will be looking for a buy setup to the top here. And then if it makes another one and go there, and if it makes another one and go there, and if it makes another one and go there, I think by now you should know that we'll be buying all of those. We will sell this back to the bottom here, and then we'll all be buying back to the upside. So would it be downside? I just told you I expect gold to drop. And I'm giving you a possibility where gold will go up higher. I hope you understand the depth of wave analysis. This is why you can't say I will only be selling or I will only be buying, because you don't know that. And I just, when you ask the question, you don't know where it starts and where it ends. You don't have to know that. You will never ever know that, and no one in the world will ever know that. If anyone knows that, all they have to do is get enough money to find where it's going to start the sell and sell as much as they possibly can, or even go buy an option to sell, and they will be the richest person in the world, right? So you can't know that. What you do is you trade the pieces you're getting and then decide. Like I'm saying now, we are looking for sells and we think it's going to go lower. But if this is to happen, that changes immediately. Now, here's the thing about wave analysis. You have to know that this is a possibility. In wave analysis, you have to know what changes and what possibilities exist. And most times when we're looking at a trade, we're looking at 2, 3, 4 possibilities. Because if you have one single piece here and you're making a pattern, you don't have anything. Remember what I said, the minimum is 3 pieces in a pattern. And we only have one piece. And we have a second piece here. We don't have a pattern. And if you don't have a pattern, you don't know what it's doing. But that does not stop you from trading, right? Like I said, the patterns, the labeling and all of that is only informational in terms of direction it's going to go. It's not how you trade. They will influence your trading very little, right? But you must know that, because if you don't know that, you don't have a sense of direction. So I have a sense of direction because I think I understand what this is going to do. I think it's going to come down here, and then it's going to go back there, and then it's going to drop. So I just drew a pattern that I think could happen. And then I say to myself, okay, wait for the confirmation. And if this pattern is to play out, you're going to get a few trades down, you're going to get a trade up, and then you're going to get a lot of trades down. But what if it doesn't do that? I just give you the second option. Well, then I would have seen the second option forming, and I understand that how that change is happening. And I said, okay, guys, well, here now we're looking for buy setups. We're going to get about 5, 6 buy setups, and then we get one big sell, and then we're going to be trading it up again. And even that could change. It could be much more complex than that. It could stay here for the next 5 years. Gold could stay in this range for the next 5 years, going up and down and up and down and up and down and staying sideways here for like a whole 6 months. And you may say, well, hey, that's not possible. This guy is fantasizing. Well, let me show you one we were looking for a buy on that still is in the consolidation and 5 years gone already. I'll put it in the daily so you can see it. See this here? You see this sharp impulse we had here, just like the sharp impulse down on gold. See that sharp reversal impulse there? Oh, sorry, let me get my drawing tool. Let me chop the chart so you will probably get a good vision of what I'm telling you here. I'm going to cut it here so you can see what I'm talking about, right? And this is where we were when I was learning to trade. And we had this. And we had a perfect reversal pattern. You can imagine my happiness when I think I'm going to get this trade going up like that. Wow, I just need to get a buy here, buy setup, and this thing is going to take off like a rocket. That was which year? That was 2016, right? That was my thought process. Look at this impulse and look at the consolidation. This is going to be a good trade. You can double your account on it, right? Literally, this thing is going to take off. Even when it went a little more, right? Even when it went a little more, like it made this consolidation. Even when it came here, I was like, okay, that is even much better, right? Pause. I was like, this is much better because now we got a deeper consolidation, and this is going to take off. That's the thought process. This thing is going to take off like a rocket. Now I just need to get a good buy setup here, and I'll be good to go, right? Well, let's see if that happens. I think you know what happens, but it's just very curious to show you how things change, right? See? Well, if you bought here, it's not like you lost anything, but you see what happened at this point, you better get out of it, because if you don't get out of it, it's not going anywhere. Stop. This was an interesting one. Stop. So when it came here and it did 1, 2, 3, we bought here. We literally bought it. We're like, okay, this is going now. That is going to go all the way to heaven. You've got a perfect flat here. You don't need anything else. This one is going to go. See that impulse there and that correction? It's going to go. I don't need to show anymore because you know what happens, right? What happens? We're still inside. We're still in that impulse. And how many years passed? This is when this impulse at the top. Let's take the top of the impulse. The top was July 5th, 2015. And we're in 2024. So you think gold is going to move right now? Who says it can't stay? This is exactly the impulse. Now, who says it can't stay here for 20 years? I'm not saying it's going to stay there. I'm just who say it doesn't stay there for 2 years, or 3 years, or 4 years. See what I'm saying? That's the depth. When you start to understand that, you understand the depth of wave analysis. That you cannot make the assumption that this is going to go down now for sure, that I know 100%. But here's the thing. It doesn't stop you from trading. We traded Euro, Aussie, New Zealand a lot, and we're still trading it. But we understand where it is in the chart. That's the whole point. Wave analysis is giving you the edge in the market for your next trade and for your next couple trades. So our next trade is a sell setup, and we have an edge in the market. Should that drop, we have a good trade. If it doesn't drop, we'll relook at the structure and decide, do we have a buy setup? Because right now we don't have a buy setup. Pretty easy. Can't be more easy than that, right? Okay, let's see. Any trades? Anything happened while I was talking? So my trading got a question. Let me see it. It's hard to trade with, especially trading in liquidity. Well, depends on, you don't have to trade when the market is quiet if it's hard. But the thing is, how do you know when the market is going to be quiet and when it's going to move? See, these are things you have to question, right? It's hard to trade when it's quiet, but how do you know when it's going to move? Well, not right now, market is quiet. Who says that within 3 seconds, this market doesn't drop through the bottom here? We don't know that, right? All you have to know is look at the trades that you're looking for and set up your trades and hope that they go, right? Well, based on wave analysis, if it does, we know what it could do. If it doesn't tag me and go up, well, good. I'm not in the trade. I don't have to worry about that. So I have the 80% advantage on my side. If 20% of the time it goes up, well, no big deal. I'll relook at it and then look for a setup for a buy, or maybe I still have a sell setup. You don't know when it's going to move, so you don't have to trade based on when you think it's going to move. You know, it's like these guys who said we trade price action. Anyone ever question that? Anyone ever ask us, what does he mean by saying we trade price action, we have price action trading strategy? Nobody ever asks yourself that question. So if you are trading price action, what is the rest of the world trading? What are we trading? If he is trading price action, what are we trading? It's about the same thing, right? We're all trading the same thing. You can call it whatever BS you want to make it look like you're trading something really special. We are all trading the price action. We're trading what the price is going to do next. That's what you're always trading the price action. The price action is the price movement. And we're all trading that no matter what you call it. The only thing we're going to do different from each other is to find an analysis and strategies that gives us an advantage. People use different type of analysis. Which one gives you the better advantage? For me, I've learned a lot of them. Wave analysis seems to be the only one that gives me a true edge in the market. I've learned a lot of them. I started by learning support and resistance. Paid $5,000 to learn that stuff. That didn't help me any bit in understanding what the hell is happening. It just confused the hell out of me, because if I draw a line anywhere, it seems to be a support and resistance. It doesn't matter where you draw it. So that didn't help me. I learned all the other ones. I don't have to go through the line, but a lot of them. And then I came to the idea that I'd learned Elliott Wave as well. And then I changed it and I stopped and I went back to it until I find that it wasn't giving me edge until I started understanding it differently. And that's why I call it wave analysis, because I understand it different from the way they look at it. And that creates an edge. It gives me the edge in how you trade it. I'm like, okay, this could work. Let's see if it's working. And if you're with me for any period of time on YouTube even, you will know that, well, you can see that it's working, right? You can see where we take trades. These are not after the fact, I don't put anything after the fact on my chart. These are all during my daily analysis that I do 3, 4, 5 times a day. So this line will stay here. This line is not going anywhere. Should there be a change in structure, we'll show you the change in structure, and then we'll decide if we need to change it for the next line. All right, so that sell setup doesn't change. Join us this afternoon and you'll see what we do with it. All these things here, the reason we're putting them like this is when we come back this afternoon, or when we come back in the next session, we would look at what happens to each one of them and what we're doing. Remember, there one of them where I tell everybody, okay, close, re-enter. That's what we do. Close, re-enter, or stay with the trade, or move your stop, or take profit. So these are things we would do as we're looking at each one as they're developing. So for this week, let's see. Today we don't have any news event, which might be a good thing. Tomorrow we have a lot of news events, and we will trade during the news event, but maybe not on YouTube live, because that might not be a good idea. Not because I don't, the strategy we use for that is very specific. The rules are very, very specific. I think we did it once. We trade live. If we trade it live, we can trade it live for those who join us, but we will not publish that video. Well, for many reasons. We have our strategy there as well, and we have a lot of stuff we don't want to give away to everybody. So if you join us live, you might be able to trade with us live, but that video will not be up on YouTube, right? Okay, so you guys are welcome. Please invite more people, share. There's a lot of people who are struggling to trade who have no idea what to do. They don't have any idea where to look to for knowledge. So you can, if they just come and use the free video, that'll be enough, right? Euro-CAD is reversing. Let's go take a look at that. Well, it's not reversing, and it's not supposed to tag you. I don't know how it tag you and it's reversing. You see my entry order to sell euro is here. So I have no idea how it's tagged you and reversing. We are not in the euro trade. We're not supposed to be in that euro trade. There is no trade set up in the euro right now. See where my entry is? So what you did is you trade in the up move. You're in a sell. Give me a yes or no if you're in a sell. I assume you're in a sell if you said it's reversing. It's not reversing, though, by the way, just so you know, it's not really reversing. Right? So if you took this little flag here, well, then you should know how to manage a flag like that. You don't have to worry. It's still keep your stop. I'll tell you what you can do. Don't put a stop above the stop, otherwise you lose the trade. And don't put a stop above here, not because you're going to lose, but it's not safe. So if you're taking a trade in here, right, then you have to keep a stop somewhere here, at least. So this is not a trade you should be taking, because you have no idea how you're going to manage the trade like that. Remember, I said there has to be a sharp move down first. It has to make a sharp move like this down first. It has to go back up, and then we're going to do this. And then we're going to put this entry order here when it breaks that up. You're listening to me. See, if you listen to me, you would know that you're not supposed to sell it there. I have no idea why you sell it there. That's not something I would do. Right. So what we're looking for is even if I'm going to take that trade, it's not something I wouldn't do, but if I'm going to take that trade, then I would have to know how to trade it aggressively. So there is a chance it could break this top and then drop. I still think it's downside as of now, right? This is not an upside trade. Now, if I were you and it come back here, I'd close the trade. I can't tell you what to do with your trade, but I'll tell you what I would do. If it come back there, close the trade, because although it looks like it's making a flag here, there's a chance it's just going to go back up there and then come. So don't put a stop here because it will stop you out and you will lose that trade and then you'll watch it drop. Now, if it's going to go up, if it's going to continue to go up, then it might stay here longer. And if it stays here longer, like I said, you close your trade, we let it go up. We might consider if we're going to buy it, but then we will look for the sell again. So this is not a buy setup as well as it's not a sell setup. Until I get this, I'm not going to be taking any sell on this trade. See, we don't have anything there. Notice? Like I said, these are the markers. You have them in the webinar, but take a snapshot if you want so you can see when we come back which one we have the marker on and what we did with it. Right? Okay, thanks. You're welcome. Invite more traders. That will help. If you find it interesting, they will find it interesting. Okay, we'll see. If you are so kind, take a look at Platinum XPT. We can do that for you. XPT. Any other thing happening, you guys let me know. Pong. Okay, we'll look at Pong just now, Kevin. That's from my side. XPT USD. Looks like a sell setup on the 15. Let's see in the bigger picture what it's doing. And let's go to daily. I want to see what I haven't looked at this for a while. So I want to see what the daily structure looks like. Okay, we had this. We dropped. We didn't go back up as yet. It's kind of go back. It went up really slow. This was a sell. This one broke the top, so you can take that off. If it broke the top, it's a running flat, you should think, or it's part of the bigger correction, which is this. Yep, I'll put a running flat in between. I'll probably run this as a running flat there. So this looks downside. It might be a bigger correction here. The bigger picture is this. Up move will eventually happen, but it's not going to happen from here, and then it's not this one. So the chances are this is going to go down somewhere. Okay, so this piece here could be a bigger running flat. It could drop here and then upside, right? So I think there's a good chance for the downside. Let's look at the 4-hour. I want to see what this piece looks like in the 4-hour. We have divergence. I think we do here because we're actually breaking this low and going back up. So right now it looks like it's trying to go up, but we haven't broken the low. And if you haven't broken the low, then you wouldn't expect an impulse starting from this point, because this is a really deep pullback. If we think this was an impulse, this is the deep pullback. So I think it's going to go down some more. I would watch this piece here. I'll put just this line. And I'll watch this piece here for short-term buys if it's going to go up to confirm upside, and for sell setups, most likely sell setups. So what I'll do is watch this here in the 1-hour. And then the 1-hour, like I said, you probably have a sell setup already. You can put an entry here to sell. I would put an entry here to sell. Let's put it that way. I'll put a stop above the top. But if it goes higher, it has to stay right here. It has to come from here now. Because if it goes higher into this, we take off this, we wait for it to come back here, and then we look for the buy setup. One more up. Right? As of now, it's a sell setup. So I leave that entry order there and we'll track it. So I'm going to put the marker here to show you up to where it can go before the sell is no longer valid. So let's take this, and I'm just going to put it like that. If it goes above that, cancel the sell. Maybe even a little more like this. If it goes above that level, cancel it. It has to come down from here now. Right? It could consolidate here more, but it's not supposed to go higher. And then you're looking for a sell setup. Now, the sell setup, you would first trade the sell setup back to this here. And if it breaks out back to this one, and if it keeps going lower to the bottom, to the very bottom. Can that happen? Yeah, that is very likely going to happen. And it could come back all the way to retest this low. We need to retest this low, then go back up. As of now, we will take this as the low. So we're thinking of retesting this low and then go back up. So let's see. If it stays sideways, we'll get a buy setup by this afternoon. Not now, but by this afternoon. Right? You're welcome. Let's see what else. Okay, one more chart. Let me look at the pound for our traders first. Pound dollar. You have a trade there? Let's see. Okay, go on the 15. The pound sell tag, stay with it. Keep the entry higher. Keep the stop above the top. It will either consolidate now and then we'll close. If it starts to consolidate, we close because it's in this move, right? So it will either consolidate and then we close it, or it drops. If it retests the top, no big deal. It's still going to drop. We'll go with a smaller expanding flat here. But don't put the stop above here. I remember we're going for the big drop. We're going for it is going to come through all through the bottom here and then go through. We're assuming this could be the top here. This one here could be the top. So if the next one doesn't drop through, but come back to the low, it's still in the 1 hour, right? It's still early. It's still the first tag. Right, this would be the first tag here if we got tagged. Don't worry about it. Normally, you should be 2 spread away by rule, right? Kind of keep it like 2 spread away. But it's okay. If you're keeping it under this impulse, it's okay. I like it. It's still valid. So it's still a sell setup. Anything else? Okay, good. Somebody wanted the Chinese USDC CNH, right? I think that is it. CNHS. You're getting a buy setup here. Regardless of what, you're having a buy setup there forming. Let's see what it looks like in the bigger time frame. Divergence, upside, daily. Oh, daily, this will be a correction for downside. So we were looking at this one. I think somebody had showed me this chart. And we were here and we were thinking that this should go up a little and then drop. You see that first move up and then drop. So this one here needed to go up a little. It came down a little lower first. And then it went up. Right, this came down a little lower here first. Then it went up and then it dropped. Right, this was a sell setup. This would be a sell setup. This would be a sell setup. This would be a break-even trade. You'll sell it, but it's a break-even trade. That is a buy setup right now. So what that means is that you can get some more correction upwards and then down, right? You see this one went back, it pulled back, it pulled back, it pulled back. They always pull back, right? So this is a pullback for upside. So right now it's a short-term buy. I think you're making a short-term buy and then you'll get a sell setup. So there's a good chance that this comes here and go back up there, maybe even go higher and then come back. You can make a deeper correction here as well. You're going against the impulse. The impulse is going down, and this is a correction point. So short-term is upside, long-term downside. See, these arrows were here way before. I didn't know when the hell I prepared. I know it was a flag there. That was then when I said this should go up a little, and then the big picture is it should drop because it's dropping for this one. Magic? Right? I didn't even look back at the chart. I just prepared it for somebody and just walk away. This should go there, and then we have to drop. Works like magic every time, right? Now, here's the thing. People who trade news, here's my question to you. Do you think I know what is going to happen during any news when I made that forecast? Do you think I question what is going to happen in the Chinese economy at any given point in time on that forecast when I put those 2 arrows? Nope, because that is irrelevant. I know if you're trading news, you will say this guy's crazy. Well, I don't have to be crazy. I have 2 arrows that are making you look crazy because the 2 arrows were there, right? I just put on the charts and there was 2 arrows that I put on some while back. Since when? I put it on when this is at the top here. That was in October 23rd. Somewhere around the 23rd of October, I put that forecast on and it's working like magic. Never look back at it. From October to now, I think there was a lot of news event in the world. and more so in China. So either I am a magician, I can see the future, or news really doesn't work. Knowing myself, I'll go with the third option. News really doesn't drive the market. It's a moment in time the market moves, but it doesn't really drive where the market goes in the bigger picture of things, right? Because I'm not a magician and I can't see the future. I have no idea what's going to happen in the next 2 hours. I wish I knew, but I don't, right? So it means wave analysis works, and news is not the thing that makes the market goes where it goes, right? So the market has a way that it behaves by itself. By the way, you can see I made even longer term forecast than this one, and you don't want to know where the longer term forecast will take you, right? You can see that I do have longer term forecasts here. We're in this consolidation, and that means this is good. You see that line? It means it's eventually going to come down. Not now, though. This is a weekly. This will take a long time to happen. Let's get this move down first. Remember, we're coming down, and I just said there's a buy setup here. So like I said, the analysis and the trading is just an edge in the market. Now, I know there's a buy setup there. I also know there's a limit to that buy because it's a buy against the down move. So if you know that, then you start thinking, okay, well, if there's a limit to that, I have to buy that with caution. See? Very easy. So, okay, guys, I'll leave you there. See all of you this afternoon. Make sure you come and make sure you invite somebody. Thank you for coming. Have a great day. Trade with care. And see all of you. 7:45 a.m. New York time. Take care.